deep in the furnace of a dying star. Eons of fusion have created iron, and as the nuclear furnace is cooled, a sudden and violent explosion spread the iron across the cosmos. Over the next few billion years, these heavier elements accreted into this place that we call the Earth. Time passes, and humans discover this iron deep in the Earth and discover its mystical properties. They discover ways of forging this iron and create one of mankind's greatest inventions, the truck stop knife. This is where the story of iron ends, and my story begins. This is J.J. Jinx Truck Stop Knives! J.J. Jinx Truck Stop Knives! And I am here today to tell you a story about some of my travels on the road. I'm wearing this hat to commemorate all the truckers whose stops that I went to buy some of this crap. I'm calling this session Guns and Ammo because these knives are literally guns and ammo. Now, not a real bullet, but I don't remember where I got this one, but basically what you're looking at is something that's like cast. I'm pretty sure the tip might actually just be plastic. But these are just novelty knives that you see in these cardboard displays, and hidden inside are these usually little pen knives. Now, just a little bit of background. These little stubby knives are called pen knives because historically these little things were used to sharpen feathers, the tip of a feather for a quill. And so that's why they're called pen knives. But they're also cheap, small, easy to make, and so they find their way into these little novelty things. So this appears to be what I guess it would be, I don't know, kind of a 5.56 round. Nope, it says on the back, or on the bottom rather. It's not going to focus. Sorry, I have a shit camera. It's a 30-06. SPRG, so maybe Springfield. I'd actually never noticed that. And there's a little hole in the top. There used to be like one of those chain things with like a clasp for you to use it as a key ring, but I just took it off because I don't want that. Going along with the bullet theme, I have here a 44 Magnum round, and on the bottom it says RP44 Mag, and it also has a little teeny tiny blade in it. So I'm trying to collect all the different calibers they make, I guess. I got this one on my last trip out west, which I still haven't gotten around to processing the videos for. Sorry about that. So you'll get to see this again at the time of purchase. Continuing with the bullet theme, I picked this one up about a year ago. This is a 50 caliber round that was it's real. It was actually fired by the military, or so the packaging claims. And that's why I keep this in the packaging. There's also a bunch of little like pieces of grit in there, which I don't know what that is, but this was manufactured in Orlando actually by a place called Two Monkey Trading. And it's got this notch cut out so it doubles as a bottle opener. So I thought that was kind of neat. I don't remember where I got it, like I said, but I'm pretty sure I might have actually been down in Florida. Might have been one of my trips down to there. Made from a once fired military bullet with an exclamation point on bullet. Safe, will not explode, looks real. Do not take where real ammunition is not allowed. Sagely advice. And I also picked this one up in my last trip. This is not a knife. It's just a little shotgun shell LED light. And so you'll see this one again when I go to buy it. but it's smaller in scale than an actual 12 gauge and kind of too short to be a 410. I don't know, maybe it's just made to be a short 410. It doesn't say anything on the bottom because obviously there's LED lights in there. But nothing special about it beyond that. It's just a generic made in the People's Republic of China shotgun shell light. Now this one I've shown before. This is a potato masher grenade, and it actually has the German writing on the top, Vorgerbausch Sprengkapsel Einsetzen penknife. Yeah, phone just fell out of the tripod. Stand by. And we're back. And I got it from Bud K in a couple of mystery packages like 4 years ago. But I thought I would toss it into this collection just because it's not a gun, it's not ammunition, but it is sort of a replica of a weapon. Now we're getting into the actual guns. I'll start off with this nifty little revolver. It's basically just two pieces of metal that are riveted together, and a couple of neat details. They actually have a little... Oh my god. I'm not going to cut that out. Fuck it, I'll leave it in. Maybe it's time for a real camera. Okay. Hopefully that won't happen again. But they actually have the little hammer here. It doesn't do anything. And the penknife just kind of swivels out the front. Now notice they have this little slot cut out right at the beginning of the blade here. And I think I know what that's for. But I have to show you the next one just to confirm that. I see these all the time. So like I only bought the one with the black or brown handle. I have another one that's pretty much identical, but with the black handle. And then like that's pretty much the full collection right there. Actually, that'd be kind of a neat little coat of arms or something. And they're just slip joint penknives in the shape of a little tiny revolver that don't fire, of course. So yeah, these are extremely common. Again, you see them in those cardboard display things in the truck stops. Now this one is interesting. Notice that compared to the others, it's kind of a little bit bigger. The barrel is kind of thicker. It's more of like a lawgiver. And on the other side, you see that there's actually a couple of buttons out here. This is actually assisted opening. Now, this is technically a switchblade because you push the button and the blade flies out. And that is what this little slot is for, because when you return the blade, you have to wait until it clicks. And then there is a safety so that you push the button, nothing happens. Safety off, and it comes out. Because it's a push button, this knife is technically illegal in a lot of places. But I think that the sellers get away with it because, well, it's not like there's been a murder spree using these things, and you don't see drug dealers pulling these things out to, cut up some people. Interestingly, it's actually the same price as all the other ones, even though it's mechanically a lot more complicated. And then I just have one more pistol, and this one's probably my favorite because it's actually very ornately decorated, and it's one of those old school, I don't know what you would call it, a Colt Peacemaker, I guess, where you put the caps and nothing on it moves or anything, but it's got a lot of like, well, it's not really etch work, but it's just molded that way, and its blade is pretty generic penknife, again, slip joint penknife, but I thought this thing just looked pretty cool, very different from the others, and I was like, I gotta have that. It does look like that the cylinder is a separate piece that was just sort of like somehow put in there during manufacturing. So yeah, I don't know if it's a Colt Peacemaker. That's just the first thing that came to my mind. Okay, next I have a couple of rifles. This one is an AK-47 knife, and the blade is exceedingly difficult to take out because it's just really far in there. And the blade is partially serrated, and it says AK-47 on it. And you can see some detail in the die-cast metal. I'm guessing it's die-cast. Now, an interesting thing about this is that I looked at the stock here, and the handle here, and the plastic, and the tolerances of like where the screw is relative to it. It just seems really tight. Then I was thinking, you know, that's possibly because this might be a bootleg of a even, I guess, better manufactured version. And looking around online, I think that it does appear to be the case. I've looked at other ones like this, and the plastic is shaped differently, and it's just kind of interesting that maybe not a bootleg per se, but a cheaper version of this knife. Now I got another one, which is identical in almost every way, except it's got a flipper tab, and it's assisted open. And this is actually a pretty impressive knife for what it is, because it's got Teflon washers. The mechanism is a spring, and as opposed to a notch cut or the various other cheaper and easier to manufacture ways. So yeah, they have a coiled spring in here, and it actually has very easy action on it. So I was kind of stoked when I picked this up. And there is kind of a safety. There's this little piece that you can swivel over, and that will prevent the blade from coming out when you try to actuate it. So I thought this one was kind of a cool thing. And I just remembered I actually do have another gun knife. If you bear with me for just a second. It's not there. If I can find it. I just have too many knives. I don't think I'm going to find it. Where could I look? No. Alright, well, maybe I featured it in another video. It's basically another AK-47, except the blade says sniper on it, or something like that. But I'll make up for that by showing you my favorite one right now. This 50 caliber style bullet, because it says on the bottom, it was obviously they're going for a distressed look, and the tip of it is green, and that's because this ain't no regular bullet. This is undead lead. It's a Black Legion knife. You actually can't get these anymore. This is one of the first knives I ever got from a Bud K mystery bag. And gosh, that must have been like close to 5 years ago, before I even filmed it, before I even really knew much about knives. I pulled this thing out, and I just kind of laughed and threw it into a box, thinking, wow, what a piece of garbage. Why would I ever want this? But now I love it. I've grown to appreciate it, and the blade is really long. This ain't no pen blade. So that's my piece of undead lead. I am ready for the zombie apocalypse. And that concludes my collection, minus the one I couldn't find at the moment, of guns and ammo. Wait a minute. I found it. I just have knives everywhere. So this is a knife I picked up. I remember it was off of, I think, I-76 in western Pennsylvania or eastern Ohio, something like that. It's a place that I've stopped many times. It's like a cafe that's in the middle of nowhere. I stopped there once after I got basically stranded in a blizzard. I think that was last year. And I got to hang out with a bunch of truckers. I got to hang out with a bunch of truckers who were also stranded and basically waiting for the snow to clear up so the tow trucks could bring their trucks down to this cafe. It was just in this generic black box, and I was like, it's under a glass case, and I'm like, there's something in that glass box. I gotta check it out. And it's not an AK-47. I was wrong. It's a camo rifle with like a scope on the top, and it's funny because, again, these are like two parts that are screwed together. So the scope is like on both sides. Yeah, it's funny, and it's actually got a low ride pocket clip, and the tension's not too bad. It is assisted open, so you have a flipper tab, and then wham. And I was wrong. It doesn't say sniper rifle. That's right. It's an extension of the barrel that's etched into the blade, which is comically short compared to the rest of the rifle. Yeah, so this was definitely a good purchase. I got it for $10. It is digi camo, so if I drop it, I'll lose it. And this is the final piece to my collection. I'm glad I found it, because I was like, I know I got it. Where is it? How do I lose knives? Whatever. This has been JJ Jinx Truck Stop Knives!